back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for all right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast and for the final.
Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Friday, May 31st. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So, with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So we're going to start off the show. I know I touched upon it briefly yesterday, but we will talk about Jaylen Waddle's new contract. Another wide receiver gets paid. So we'll get into that and break it down, how that impacts the Dolphins, things like that. Then in the second part of the show, we will continue our schedule breakdowns. We will talk about the Vikings schedule, go through who they will be playing this year, some of their intriguing matchups on their schedule. So that'll be the second part of the show. In the third part of the show, I will talk about the announcement of Drew Brees being inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame. So I wanted to get into that, just kind of talk about Drew Brees in general. Congrats to him. So I want to get into that in the third part of the show. Then, fourth part of the show, we'll talk about the announcement of the Bears being on Hard Knocks. So the Giants are going to be on the off-season version of Hard Knocks. The Bears, they will be on the main version of Hard Knocks. So I'll get into that. And then to end off the show, we'll talk about the Bills' offensive approach going into the 2024 season. And I'll talk about some of the things that offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey had to say. So that's what's going to happen. So did I say Ken Dorsey? Isn't Ken Dorsey the current offensive coordinator for the Bills? But I think Ken Dorsey, was the old one. But I just want to double check just to make sure that Joe Brady, sorry. That's what I meant to say. Ken Dorsey was the other one. My previous offensive coordinator. My apologies there. I know. I knew it right when I said that. I was like, wait, that's not who the offensive coordinator is. That's the one that got let go. So, but yeah, that's what's on tap for today. Also, I wanted to bring up that yesterday when I was doing the show, for some reason, my mic settings were all out of whack. So, literally the entire show, I was talking like I was in a Call of Duty lobby from 2012. And I noticed it even while I was doing the show, and I didn't realize what it was specifically. So, I just was simply lowering the volume on my mic on the software that I use to stream the show. And that didn't even help. I mean, it made it lower, but still, like the mic quality was bad. So then I went and looked, and my mic volume on my laptop itself was all the way up. And when I adjusted that, and I did like a test recording, then the mic volume sounded fine. So I think we're good. And like I said, I did a test before we came on today, so we should be good. But yeah, so if you look for the show from yesterday, it's not going to be there. You're not going to find it because it just there was nothing to save when it came to that. So, but I just wanted to bring that up because if you did tune into the show yesterday, yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So, but like I said, should be good to go right now. But yeah, let's get into the first topic now, which is talking about Jaylen Waddle. So, Jaylen Waddle gets a new deal. It's a 3-year, $84.75 million deal. And it includes $76 million in guaranteed money. His AAV is $28.25 million. And that places him in the top 5 of highest paid receivers. In his first 3 seasons, he's caught 251 passes for 3,385 yards and 18 touchdowns. He has achieved 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and he's under contract now through the 2025 season at $8.6 million. His salary increases to $15.6 million in 2025 due to a 50-year option. The new extension starts in 2026, aligning with potential salary cap increases, making it financially strategic that they got this deal done. And I thought it was something that was interesting that I saw is Tyreek Hill's now looking for a new deal. So, we'll see how that all plays out. But, yeah, Waddle's been a productive receiver. And, he's part of a receiving core that's really talented between him and Tyreek Hill. And that's another weapon to keep around to help Tua Tagovailoa. And, expecting him to continue putting up good numbers. And I wanted to go to his stats for each individual season. So, yeah, he had 6 touchdowns his first season. He had 104 receptions in his first season with the Dolphins. Then he had 1,356 yards in 2022. He had 8 touchdowns, 75 receptions, and then he had 72 receptions in 2023. And he had 4 touchdowns. So the touchdowns, actually, he had 8 touchdowns even with Tyreek Hill in the offense in 2022. But he had 4 last year. And he played 16 games his first season, 17 his second season. And then he played in 14 in 2023, so he missed a couple games. But, yeah, he's been a productive receiver for them. He's been a really good number 2, like I said, behind Tyreek Hill. And obviously him and Tua go back to their days at Alabama. But, yeah, he's just the latest of wide receivers that has gotten paid. We talked about Nico Collins. Not that he's in the same category as Jaylen Waddle and Nico Collins, but, no, he's not. But I also did talk about Juwan Jennings getting paid yesterday. Again, the show, you're not going to find it. But that was a 2-year extension. So he was another receiver that got paid. But you look at some of the other names that you're waiting on, like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk. We're still waiting on, are these guys getting paid? Or when are these guys getting paid? And that still hasn't happened yet. Right now we're playing the waiting game. But the Dolphins, they pay one of their receivers. So they at least have him secured. And like I said, now we just got to wait on when some of these other guys are going to get paid. Or if they're going to get paid by their respective teams. Or if they're going to get paid elsewhere. So, and I know when I talked about the Cowboys yesterday, they are moving towards getting a deal done with CeeDee Lamb. And they're trying to get this done before Justin Jefferson gets paid a mega contract. And then, CeeDee Lamb's like, well, I want to get paid the same amount. Because it's probably going to be that Jefferson's going to get paid more. So, yeah, it's just another thing to keep an eye on. But, yeah, another receiver has gotten paid, but now we're just waiting for some of these other guys. It seems like these guys, they'll come out, like Nico Collins and Jaylen Waddle, they just come out of nowhere with these new deals. Meanwhile, we're waiting on guys that, for months now we've been talking about how they're looking for new deals, and we're still waiting. So, again, we'll have to wait and see if they eventually get their new deals. But right now, no news there on the guys I just talked about, and they're big names. So, but let me know what you guys think about Jaylen Waddle's new deal. And like I said, Tyreek Hill, I did see he's looking for a new deal now. So, maybe the Chiefs will give him a new deal and he goes back to the Chiefs. Now, I'm just saying that, but yeah. So he might be next when it comes to getting a new deal on the Dolphins. But yeah, I mean, Jaylen Waddle, like I said, he's been a productive receiver for the Dolphins. And, even with Tyreek Hill in the fold, he's still, posting over 1,000 yards. So, look, this Dolphins offense is very good. It's just now we got to see them take that next step and beat some better opponents and, go far in the playoffs. Prove me wrong, because right now I had them ranked third in my AFC East rankings. So, and a lot of that does fall on the quarterback. The quarterback's got to go out there and prove something. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about Waddle's new deal. How do you see him performing in 2024? So, we're going to take our first break of the show, and then when we come back, we will talk about the Vikings schedule. We'll break it down, and I'll give you my early win-loss prediction for them. So, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to talk about the Vikings 2024 schedule. I'll break it down, give you my early win-loss predictions for them. So let's get into that. Switch a couple things around here. So the Vikings, yeah, they had an up-and-down season last year. And a lot of that had to do with just what happened at quarterback. Kirk Cousins was playing really well. And then, unfortunately, he tore his Achilles in that game against the Packers in Lambeau, and they had to start, they traded for Joshua Dobbs, and he actually was playing well for them, and then, the defenses kind of figured him out, and he ended up getting benched, and Nick Mullins came in and started some games, and then there was that week against the Packers where Jaron Hall was starting, and then they started falling behind, and then they put Nick Mullins in. But it was kind of weird how that game unfolded for them. Well, not really how it unfolded, but just how that whole situation with they started Jaron Hall, then they benched him, put Nick Mullins back in. It just when they should have just started Nick Mullins from the beginning. Now they probably still would have lost to the Packers because the Packers were playing really well at the time, but I don't know. So this is the Vikings schedule. Now, I don't know who is starting. I think it's too early right now to know who's actually starting, whether it's Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. I mean, I guess they're just going to battle it out, and then we'll see. But obviously, J.J. McCarthy is the long-term answer. At least between him and Sam Darnold. Like, I don't know if he is going to be the guy. We'll have to see. I mean, it's like that for all the rookie quarterbacks, even Caleb Williams. Like, we could believe, like, oh, he could be the guy, he might not be. We got to see if they actually are. Now, I did say that I think J.J. McCarthy has ended up in a very good situation with the Vikings, but he's got to go out there and prove it. Now, again, I don't know if Sam Darnold or him, who's starting week 1. It's probably going to be Sam Darnold, I would think. I know there was a video of him throwing a touchdown pass to one of the tight ends. It was a pretty good throw, so. But, again, that's just one video. But, you know, it was a good play. Good play. Anyways, so let's get into the schedule here. So I think the Vikings are going to finish in last in the division. But, again, that's just me. So I did have them losing to the Giants. I remember I did say that I had the Giants winning this game in week 1. But, I mean, the Vikings could win. Definitely a toss-up game. So, but I said I'd give them a loss there. But then they take on the 49ers and the Texans and then the Packers the next 3 weeks. So, I think they lose their next 2 games. Then they take on the Packers. I know, but then I got them going 0-4. And then, their schedule is pretty tough to start the year. Other than the Giants. Because they take on the 49ers, Texans, Packers, Jets, Lions, Rams. Then you face the AFC South 3 weeks in a row. Even though I think the Vikings can win maybe 2 of those 3 games. I know. I don't know why I don't like. I mean, well, the 49ers, I say they're going to lose that. Even though they did beat them in Minnesota last year. But, yeah, I think that one you pencil in as a loss. Texans, like I said, loss. Packers in Lambeau. I mean, I'll say they split. Then this is an international game against the Jets. I mean, who knows what's going to happen at that point if Aaron Rodgers is playing or not. I mean, I'm hoping he is, but you know, everybody's just nervous just because he played 4 plays last season. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, if Rodgers is playing, I think the Jets win. I had the Lions winning against the Vikings. I know. I don't like this schedule. But I don't want to give the Vikings no wins. I think they lose to the Rams too. I'll say they beat the Colts. I think the Jags beat them. But I'll say they beat the Titans. All right, so I'll give them. Oh man, I got to give them some more wins here. I think they'll get like, I'm gonna say 7 wins. I don't know, 7 or 8 wins. I mean, I think that's fine, right? But I got to see. Well, the Giants game is a toss-up. They could win that. Like I said, I mean, I think they could split with their divisional opponents. The Cardinals can be a win. That's a home game. The Colts can be a win right there. The Titans, I could see them winning that. Then Kirk Cousins comes back in Week 14. I'm going to say the Vikings win that. And they say, hey, we don't need you. We don't actually need you. The Seahawks game, that could go either way, I feel like. Yeah, I don't want to give them no wins because I think they're a good team. I think they have a good roster. It's just, it's tough because of the quarterback position. I think they'll finish with the losing record. Like I said, maybe 7 or 8 wins. I think that's what they can get. It's just but I'm looking at their schedule and I'm like, oh, I see that as a loss, that's a loss, that's a loss, that's a loss. But I feel like they could pull off an up. They're going to pull off an upset somewhere. But again, they're going to have a young quarterback playing. I mean, I feel like I said, I feel like Sam Darnold, he's going to start off as the starter, and then eventually J.J. McCarthy is going to take over maybe late in the year. Yeah. So, but some of the good. I mean, obviously some of the divisional games are going to be good. I think all the matchups this year, when all these teams play against each other, are going to be good. Between the young quarterbacks playing and just the star power all over the place. I mean, at receiver. I mean, from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Amon-Ra St. Brown, Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, the Packers' young receivers, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. There's receivers all over the place in this division. So, and you got the Kirk Cousins revenge game, like I said. So that should be fun late in the year, week 14. I just don't really. I really don't like their schedule. I feel like they have a difficult schedule. And I know I said that they're going to lose to the Giants, but I'm not very confident in that. I think that game they could win. But yeah, weeks 2 through 8, it's tough. Tough schedule right there. I mean, they could find themselves at 1-7. It's or 1-6. It's just but they could prove me wrong. But yeah, their schedule, like I said, their schedule is pretty tough. Because like I said, you got then after week 8, you got you got to deal with Anthony Richardson and him healthy and Jonathan Taylor. Then you go to Jacksonville. The Titans, I think, are going to be a better team. Got the Bears twice. Cardinals with Kyler Murray. Then you're in Seattle late in the year. Before that, you play Kirk Cousins. Yeah, it's a tough schedule. But I don't think the Vikings are going to be a team that wins 4 games. I think 7 or 8. They'll find a way to get around there. Yeah, I don't want to disrespect them like that because I like their roster. It's just that now if they had Kirk Cousins, they'd probably give him another win. Because if you remember, they were on their way to getting themselves back to 500, over 500, and even over 500 because of how well he was playing, and then he unfortunately got hurt. But now they got to hit the reset button. They got Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. So, well, J.J. McCarthy, hopefully for them is the long-term answer. So, but yeah. So, like I said, I think 7-8 wins for them. I think they miss out on the playoffs. They just play in a tough division too. That's the other thing. Like I just look at the Packers and the Lions is better, and I think the Bears are going to be better too. So, but. I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe they prove me wrong. So, before we go to our next break, again, let me know what you guys think. How many games do you think the Vikings will win in 2024? We'll take our next break. Before we go to our next break, though, again, just want to remind you guys to tip or donate, get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCpodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCpodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we come back, we'll talk about Drew Brees. He will be inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame, so I'll talk about him when we come back from our second break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Drew Brees and the announcement of him being inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame during the 2024 season. And I'll talk about his accolades and just talk about his career. So he signed with the Saints in 2006. Of course, he was drafted by the Chargers, played with the Chargers before that. Played 15 seasons with New Orleans, broke the 5,000-yard passing barrier 5 times. Led the NFL in passing yards in 7 seasons. He was a 12-time Pro Bowler. 2006 Walter Payton Man of the Year. Twice he was named the Offensive Player of the Year. Made 1 first-team All-Pro and 4 second teams. 4-time touchdown leader. 2-time passer rating leader. 6 times he led the league in completion percentage. He holds the NFL record for the highest completion percentage in a season, and that was from 2018. He had a 74.4%. Holds the record for highest completion percentage in a game, 96.7%. Now, I don't know what game that is. Might have been the game where they put up 60 points against the Colts. But no, I don't know. But 96.7. Holds the record for most 5,000-yard seasons. Tied for a single-game passing touchdown record, 7. And he, of course, led the Saints to their first Super Bowl win in franchise history with a 31-17 victory over the Colts. And he retired after the 2020 season, and he's expected to be inducted into both the Teams Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So we'll be waiting on that as well. But congratulations to him. So the date for the induction ceremony will be announced, and there's speculation that it could be when the Saints play the Broncos in Week 7 when Sean Payton makes his return. And I feel like that makes the most sense. So Sean Payton's there. But good stuff there. He's second also in career touchdown passes at 571. Of course, Tom Brady passed him there and also passed him in passing yards as well. And actually, some interesting comments by Brees. He said that, if his body felt great, he would have played 3 more years. The only problem is just his arm. And you could tell. I mean, towards the end of Brees' career, his arm was just not the same. Couldn't really throw it as deep as he wanted to. That's why a lot of it was, some checkdowns to Kamara, a lot of short routes. Didn't air it out like he used to. Because if you go back to, when they did win the Super Bowl back in 2009, and even like 2011, that was another great year for the Saints. But, they lost that tough game to the 49ers in the divisional round, and that was the year the Giants won the Super Bowl. The Saints, when you went into New Orleans, yeah, it was tough. It was tough to beat the Saints in the Dome. That was when they were just like virtually unbeatable. But then once like Sean Payton got suspended because of Bountygate, that was kind of when things changed a little bit. Because 2012 they didn't make the playoffs. 2013 when Sean Payton came back, they were back to being great. But yeah, I feel like after Sean Payton got suspended, they weren't as unbeatable in the Dome as they were previously. Now, again, it was still tough. There were some years where it was still tough to go in there and beat them, but teams did still, find ways to win. But when it comes to Drew Brees, though, I mean, he was one of the best quarterbacks I saw playing. Now, there was never a year where he was looked at as the best. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There were a couple of years because a lot of people, again, point to 2011, I believe. He could have won MVP that year, but it ended up being Aaron Rodgers. But, the Packers went 15-1 that season. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers deserved to win MVP that year. But, yeah, there were years where, Brees could have won an MVP, and he didn't. And it was tough for him because, again, you had Aaron Rodgers playing at the time. You had Tom Brady. You had Peyton Manning. So, yeah, it's, he didn't win an MVP because, I mean, yeah, Rodgers won MVP. Peyton won, in 2013. In 2012 you had Adrian Peterson win. But again, the Saints, I think they finished, 7-9 in 2012? Yeah, but he was a lot of fun to watch. And like I said, when the Saints were rolling in the Dome, I mean, it was tough to stop him, and it was a lot of fun. But, yeah, got some, bad breaks in the playoffs, like I said. That classic of a game against the 49ers in the divisional round when Vernon Davis caught that touchdown pass with, little time left. That game was back and forth. That was a great game. And then you had, of course, the Minneapolis Miracle in 2017, where the Saints should have won that, but again, miracle against them. And then you had, of course, the non-call of pass interference the following year in the championship game against the Rams, which was highly controversial that they didn't call it, and the Saints lost that game. But I am one of those people that will say it's not because of that they lost. Because if you remember, they did get the ball to start overtime. And what happened? Brees threw a pick. And then the Rams got the ball back. Greg Zuerlein kicked the field goal, and that was it. So I'm not going to blame that. But again, that was a bad break, though. That was the wrong. Not that it was the wrong call. They didn't call anything. They should have threw a flag there. And you had some years where they missed the playoffs. 2016 they didn't make it. 2015 they didn't make it. 2014 they didn't make it. 2013 they did, but they beat the Eagles. They beat Nick Foles and the Eagles, and then they played Seattle the following week in Seattle, and that was the year the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. They lost that. But yeah, Brees is another guy that should have won another ring, and it just never happened. And the Saints got close, but they were never able to get back to another one. I mean, the closest they got was, I think, it was 2018. They were in the championship game, and they lost to the Rams. 2019, the following year, they lost to the Vikings again, and Kirk Cousins' first career playoff victory. And the following year was the COVID season, and Tom Brady went in and beat them. I really wish the fans were in the stands for those playoffs because, I would have loved to have seen. Not that I think it would have made a difference because nothing phases Tom Brady except the Giants' pass rush, but I would have loved to have seen him playing in New Orleans with the packed crowd, and then in Lambeau with the packed crowd. But again, that's the circumstances that we were dealing with. But still, it's just Brees and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, those are guys that you wish you'd see. I mean, Rodgers still has an opportunity to do so, but Brees, unfortunately, it's now retired. But yeah, you would have liked to maybe have seen him win another one. But he's got one, and it's hard to even get one. But he's still going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks in my lifetime. And congrats to him on this. It should be a great night for him and Saints fans. Because again, he walked off the field for the last time after losing to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and there was no one in the stands. But now this is kind of one of those opportunities where Saints fans, packed crowd, they give him that proper appreciation for everything that he did for that city, because he did a lot. I mean, you even go back to, what happened when he got there. The whole thing with Hurricane Katrina. I mean, he did a lot for that city. So it's not even just what he did on the field, but off the field as well. Did a lot for them. And like I said, it's going to be a great night. Whenever they decide to do it, like I said, there's speculation that it could be when the Broncos take on the Saints, and I think that would be appropriate just because Sean Payton would be there, and they had a lot of success together. It should be good. But yeah, another quarterback that I do miss watching from week to week, and I think the Saints miss him because ever since he left, it's been rough for the Saints. Jameis Winston was given the keys. Well, Brees was like, "This is your team now." Well, he's not there anymore, and they went out and got Derek Carr, and they had a strong finish to the season, but is that going to now carry over into 2024? We'll have to see. But like I said, congratulations to Drew Brees, and like I said, should be a great night for him and Saints fans when they decide to whatever week they decide to celebrate him. So, and yeah, let me know what you guys think though about Drew Brees. What was your favorite moment from Drew Brees' career? Let me know. So, we're going to take our third break of the show, and then when we come back, we will discuss the Bears being announced to appear on Hard Knocks this season. So I'll talk about that when we come back from our next break. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about the Bears. They will be on this year's edition of Hard Knocks. Now, the Giants are going to be on the off-season version. So you're going to see like behind the scenes on, the draft, I guess, and free agency, things like that. Also, quick thing on the Giants. And this has nothing to do with, on the field stuff. Off the field, let me know, did any of you guys see the song that Darren Waller came out with, the tight end? Because he has some stuff going on in his personal life, and he came out with this new song, and I'm still waiting on, is he coming back or not? Like, what's the deal? But that was one thing that I saw that was interesting, that my one of my friends sent in our sports chat, and I checked it out. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. He has a YouTube channel. Just look up Darren Waller music video. I didn't know that he was a singer, but he is. So, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe that'll be on the off season Hard Knocks. We'll see. No, probably not. But yeah, so the Giants are on the off-season version. The Bears, they'll be on the main version. I think that's what I said to start the show. But yeah, so that will, so they'll be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks Training Camp Edition for the first time in 2024. The series is co-produced by NFL Films and will premiere on August 6th, 2024 at 9 p.m. on HBO and stream on Max. New episodes will air each Tuesday through September 3rd. The Bears are one of the 3 eligible teams, along with the Broncos and Saints, who met the criteria. No new head coach, no playoffs in the past 2 seasons, and not featured on Hard Knocks in the past 10 years. That's interesting. I didn't know there was a criteria for that. I thought they just kind of like, this is the team that is going to be on Hard Knocks this year. Well, actually, yeah, because they have, so I guess they have the off-season, they have the training camp one, and then they have the in-season one, which I think that was announced, right? Wasn't it the Colts? Or I might be wrong. I have to look that up. But anyways, yeah, so they're going to be on the training camp Hard Knocks. So, yeah, they met the new criteria. Bears president and CEO Kevin Warren expressed enthusiasm about providing fans with a unique look into the team's training camp. The Bears started 2023 0-4, and of course Justin Fields is now no longer there. It's going to be a new quarterback, Caleb Williams, and the Bears made a ton of moves this offseason. Now, some fans usually are not thrilled with being on Hard Knocks because, it just kind of might be a little bit of a distraction. I mean, look at the Jets. I mean, that was a team that many people were hyped up about, and look at the kind of season they ended up having. And I'll be honest, I am not a Hard Knocks watcher. I've never really sat down and watched it, but I definitely think I should because, you get to see more in-depth things and behind the scenes with certain teams. And the Bears are a team that, look, they did a lot this offseason. And they're looking to break through and be a good team with a rookie quarterback. And I did do their schedule breakdown yesterday, and I had them around 9-10 wins. I think I'm high on the Bears. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think it's reasonable. 9-10 wins. I think Caleb Williams is going to struggle a little bit, as he struggled a little bit in OTA so far. But I think, it's going to be one of those things later in the year. He'll get more confident, more comfortable with the offense, and then I think that's where the Bears, they make a second half push and they get into the playoffs. Now, I don't think they're going to go far because, it's inexperience at the quarterback position, but I think they could at least make some noise and get in because they have a lot of talent. But again, you also got to see what the coaching staff is able to do as well, because I know there's some question marks there still. But yeah, I mean, the defense was good last year towards the end, and like I said, you added Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze now to that receiving core with DJ Moore. You signed DeAndre Swift. Bears got a nice running game that they're putting together with him in the fold with Khalil Herbert. Got a nice tight end. Yeah, I think the Bears should be good. But again, that's just me. And that's why I can't wait to see games being played just so I can, talk about other things. Because look, we're about to be in June. But man, I really cannot wait for games to be played. Because I know there's a lot of repetition with things that I've said. And talking about the Bears and thinking they're going to be good, that's been one of my talking points. So, yeah, but it should be an interesting watch. Just because, again, the Bears are a team that made a lot of noise this offseason. So I'm curious to see, how that is. And I'll have to check it out. But like I said, some fans, they'd rather that not be a thing because, it just enhances the hype. And it creates a distraction. And some people don't want that. But, that's just how it is. So, and we'll get to see, some we'll see there's things we won't be able to see, but, we'll kind of get to see some Caleb Williams stuff, throw into these receivers a little bit, so, no, it should be interesting. I definitely want to check it out. Maybe go back and watch some of the other versions, with some other teams, because like I said, I really have not watched it, because the Lions were on it too, at one point with Dan Campbell. I kind of wanted to watch that. The Jets last year, the Giants are going to be on it, and that's my team. So I figured, check that out, see how it is. I mean, it's, considering it's my team, but yeah, I'll check it out, and I'll let you guys know how it is, because I was recommended to watch it, because it's a good watch. The Dolphins were also on it too, so check out a couple episodes. You'll see what the hype is all about. But yeah, that's really pretty much all I have with the Hard Knocks stuff. Like I said, it's a team that made a lot of moves this offseason, made changes at major positions, quarterback position. Yeah, it's there's a lot that's on Caleb Williams' shoulders, and he's going to have to rise to the occasion. And I think he will. But see, for me, it's more about the situation that he ended up in. Because you look at all these rookie quarterbacks, like, I don't know if they're going to be good. Because I really didn't watch them in college. But I think the situations that some of these guys ended up in, to me, I think Caleb Williams ended up with the Bears, and with the skill position players that they have on offense, I think he's going to be successful. And I think, for some of the other quarterbacks, like I said, J.J. McCarthy, I thought ended up in a good situation. I think Michael Penix, I didn't love him getting picked there, because the Falcons should have drafted a player that would impact them right now. I think that's a good situation for him as well, because he could at least sit behind Kirk Cousins, learn from Kirk Cousins, and the Falcons, they got a good offense as well. So when he's ready, and Kirk Cousins is gone, he's going to do well. Ideally, that's what they're hoping for. So it really, for me, it's all about looking at the situations. That's not always the case, but that's kind of my thought process. But we'll have to see. We got a long way to go. So, all right. So we're gonna take our final break of the show. Again, let me know what you guys think about the Bears being on Hard Knocks. So we're gonna take our final break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Buffalo Bills and their approach to the offense for the 2024 season. So we'll talk about that when we come back from our final break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to talk about how the Bills are going to approach their offense in 2024. So, I just wanted to talk about a couple things that were said. Now, this is, again, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator. I said Ken Dorsey and to start off the show, and I'm like, that is not who it is. That is the previous offensive coordinator. So, again, apologize for that. But thankfully I caught myself. So, yeah, like I said, I wanted to just go through some of the things he had to say, because obviously the Bills are going to look a little different on offense. They lost Gabe Davis. But on top of that, the bigger story is they traded Stephon Diggs. And I just wanted to talk about like I said, how they're going to attack the offense or approach the offense. So, something Khalil Shakir had to say, Joe Brady tells us all the time everybody eats. So, that basically tells you, hey, they're going to spread the ball around. And this is what Joe Brady said. He said you got to be really intentional about it, because at the end of the day, there's only one guy in the receiver room that's even caught a ball from Allen in the game, and that's Khalil Shakir. And so every rep in practice, the individual, there's such an intention behind what we're doing and why we're doing it. Make sure if I didn't miss any other quote. Okay. And then your offense is Josh Allen's offense, but it's also about what your players do well. And so this is the first time right now that we're experimenting with some things like, hey, can this guy do this? Can this guy not do this? And we'll continue to evolve, and come September, we're hoping that we'll have a good feel. And I think I don't have a problem with what he said. I think that's the right way to go about it. You want to see what these guys' skill sets are. Yeah, it's a different wide receiver room. Like I said, no more Gabe Davis, no more Stephon Diggs. You know what you have in Khalil Shakir. But, you got these guys like Valdez-Scantling, Mac Hollins, Chase Claypool, Curtis Samuel. And of course the tight ends as well, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. They're not receivers, but, they're pass catchers. So they've caught passes from Josh Allen too. And then you also got James Cook as well. I think that's the other thing too, is the Bills are going to continue to run the football, which they should, because James Cook was running the ball really well last year, and I think that should continue. And, Josh Allen's going to take off and run with it as well, because when he does, he's, you don't want to tackle him. But, yeah, it is going to be interesting. And also because, Chase Claypool, when he first came into the league, people thought he was going to be a star. But, yeah, that was not the case. He kind of fell off. But he's looking for another chance. Maybe he gets that here. Valdez-Scantling, listen, at times he's made big catches in big moments, but, last year he did have a drop problem. So that's something that, you got to worry about a little bit. But, I think the Bills are going to be fine. I think that Josh Allen's still going to go out there and he's going to have a good year. But, yeah, you got to be a little concerned, I guess, just because, the receiving core is... There's not really... You can't look at this receiving core and say, hey, there's, a sure number one wide receiver. Could be Khalil Shakir because he was playing really well towards the end of the year. But is that what he's going to be over the course of a full season? And I also didn't mention Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is a nice player, and they could do a lot of different things with him. They could have him line up in the backfield. I mean, if you go back to his Carolina days, they did that a lot. He was basically was playing running back. So, you could put him back there, have him carry the football as well. Yeah, it is going to be interesting. But like I said, I like their tight ends. I mean, I thought Curtis Samuel was a nice signing. Like I said, Khalil Shakir is a good player. It's about how these other guys stepping up. Valdez-Scantling, Chase Claypool. What kind of seasons can they have? But I mean, again, the bar is not really that high for them. I mean, at least with Valdez-Scantling, he's been playing in Super Bowls and making big plays. I mean, what has Chase Claypool done recently? Nothing. But, again, this could be another opportunity for him, so we'll have to wait and see. But when Khalil Shakir says everybody eats, Josh Allen's going to be spreading the ball around. There's not going to be, one guy that's going to get all the targets. And that could definitely be something that's beneficial, because it's not like you have to force feed one guy to make them happy, because now you don't have Stephon Diggs there, so you don't have to worry about it. But, does anyone scare you on this offense other than Josh Allen? Not really. So we'll have to see how it all goes. And I think there'll be some adjustments that'll have to be made throughout the year. I don't think they're going to be clicking on all cylinders right away. But look at the Chiefs. And Tyreek Hill, he gets traded, right? You had people saying that the Chiefs wouldn't even make the playoffs, and what happened? They won the Super Bowl with Juju Smith-Schuster as their number one target. Travis Kelce was the number one, but he's tight end. We're talking receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster was the number one wide receiver on that team. Now, might be unfair to compare the Bills to the Chiefs just because the Chiefs are kind of the standard right now, but just saying, Josh Allen's a great quarterback, and I think he will be fine. And I don't. It's not like he's throwing to. Well, I mean, some guys, NFL fans might look at it and say, "Oh, he's throwing to, electricians or whatever." But I don't know. I think he should be fine. Like I said, Khalil Shakir's a nice player. Curtis Samuel's a nice player. They got two good tight ends. Valdez-Scantling made big plays for the Chiefs in the playoffs last year. Maybe Chase Claypool gives you something. I think they'll be fine. And the other thing, too, is, like I said, they're going to probably rely on the running game, too. Josh Allen's going to run with it, and James Cook's going to run a lot, too. I mean, go back to the Dallas game. They really fed him the ball constantly. So, we'll see. But, yeah, there's going to be an adjustment period. So we'll have to wait and see. But, I still have some confidence in the Bills. But that's my thoughts on it. And I think, again, you're spreading the ball around, and I think that's the right approach. Because sometimes when you're force-feeding one guy, that could lead to turnovers. So, but the guys also got to get the job done, too. But we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting when the Texans take on the Bills, too. Seeing Diggs go back there. And then also Gabe Davis, maybe a Gabe Davis revenge game, because I know Jacksonville plays the Bills, too. So, yeah, should be fun. Yeah, Gabe Davis was a disappointment, though. Because, I mean, I brought this up, I believe, at some point. But it's just, we all just, fell in love with Gabe Davis. Or a lot of people did. After he had that massive, 4-touchdown performance in the divisional round against the Chiefs. And he just never really lived up to that again. Yeah, he still was catching touchdown passes, and, he was still a good receiver, but, he never took that next step that many people thought he was going to. But, I still think he's I think he's a decent receiver, but we thought he was going to be the next, I don't know if great, but, 4 touchdowns in the playoffs in Arrowhead against the Chiefs. I mean, that caught a lot of people's attention, but he just never took that next step. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Bills. How do you see their offense performing in 2024? Again, I still think they're going to be good, but I think they took a little bit of a step back because of what happened this offseason, but we'll see. We will see. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the show for today. I was checking the audio quality during the break, so again, definitely sounded better than it did yesterday, thankfully. And hopefully that continues. Just gotta monitor it, that's all. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Still trying to get over this cold. Still sounding a little bit nasally, but definitely on the tail end of that, which is nice. But yeah, make sure to check out all the other shows on the network. We have our NBA Finals matchup is finalized. It will be the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Boston Celtics. And there are some storylines going into that because, of course, you have Kyrie Irving facing his former team. And I think Kristaps Porzingis played for the Mavericks. So I think he'll be back for the finals. So yeah, he'll be taking on his former team in the Mavericks. So, one of his former teams. Same thing with Kyrie, because Kyrie's been on, a couple other teams. But it should be a good finals. Should be a good finals. And the Stanley Cup will be coming up soon. We're still waiting on who we're getting in that matchup. I know the Rangers, they suffered a tough loss last night to the Panthers. But yeah, hockey and basketball are almost over. Well, at least the NBA is almost over. We got the WNBA. That season's underway. And of course we have baseball as well. But yeah, the NBA and the NHL, they're going to be ending soon. So yeah, but make sure to check out all the other shows. And yeah, with that is all the time that we have for today. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.